$11,470 US. That's how much money our first game Forge Industry has made. But there's a catch. It's been 3 years since we released this game. So today is July the 21st, 2026. We released Forge Industry on the 21st of July, 2023. So 3 years ago now marked the start of our commercial adventures over on Steam. I've actually been doing GameDev, well, a little bit more than that. This game took about 18 months of development time. I started in January 2022 with like game development altogether. And this game now, 3 years later, after release, I think like a little bit more than 1,000 days after release, has grossed a total of $11,470. Net $856. We're gonna dive into the stats because I want to talk about this. Now, first off, what is Forge Industry? Forge Industry is a automation game. This is something that maybe you don't even know we used to make this. This was the first game we've ever made. And, you know, looking at the screenshots, you can tell it was the first game we ever made. A lot of the 3D models you see here actually are all made by yours truly, me. I was the worst programmer, so we were like, oh yeah, Marnix, you can't program, so you're gonna become our 3D modeling Blender slave now. And as you can see, that wasn't really didn't turn out great. Like this windmill, I made like everything almost that you see here, except these tents. These are like Sinti, and then these trees. I think everything else in this screenshot was made by me, yours truly, or at least the big things. I know this rock, this is like the mine. This had like 2 million polygons at some point because I didn't understand like how Blender worked basically. So I like put down the building and my frame rate just went in half basically. This game, lots of mistakes. But you know, your first game is gonna be shitty anyway. So that's why you shouldn't spend 18 months on the first game. That's what I often say. I think this game had some honestly pretty cool concepts. Mainly the fact that it's an automation game without conveyor belts. That's kind of the core thing. You see like we have the little workers running around here and they're all holding like items. Instead of just regular conveyor belts, everything was done through like a pot finding algorithm, kind of. So like depending on the road type, so bridges could be like stone or wood, or you could have like dirt pots. They had like different capacities of how many workers could transport items at the same time. Now, these screenshots don't really show it enough, but like you could have to manage like congestion basically, so that there was like optimal routes. Like still like probably there was some interesting ideas, but unfortunately the execution was just too rough. Like also if you look at like the UI, not really great. This game had a bunch of things. I think the Steam capsule is still, looking back, honestly pretty good. Maybe I could like make a better word logo, but I think the actual custom art we commissioned, we paid like 250 euros for this, was really good. Now, we did like some localization. This was also localization that I did manually. This was before we realized there were assets like iTTee localize, before there were things like AI didn't really exist either yet. Like I just like, why is this in Danish? Because my ex-girlfriend back then, she was Danish and she just like localized the game for us. We're Dutch. I translated this book with a Japanese dictionary, was this game translated. And like I was like studying Japanese in the meantime. So lots of like memories with this game. Anyways, let's talk about some of the finances and stats, because I think there's some interesting stuff. So I filtered them by year. The first year after release, so total was $11,470 gross. The first year we made $10,205. So that's a lot of money that's made in the first year. If we then go and we look at, I think this is year 2, so 2024 to 2025, we made $857, down 92%. This is bad. I think this is worse than normal by far, because unfortunately this game is mixed. 61% positive, if we're going to be honest. I think that's even 55% will be more understandable, I would say, because there were just like mechanically a bunch of issues with this. I'm not going to do like a whole game design deep dive. We didn't really know what we were doing back then. And then year 3, so the last year from when I recorded this, we once again went down 50% year over year to $408 in total. So that's like what, 30 bucks a month or something like that? $2 a day on average. Not great. I think also looking at like this graph, I think this is another interesting one. So actually on launch day, is this launch day? Let me filter out one more day just to be certain, because I don't think we sold only 30 copies on launch day, right? No, we did actually only sell 30 copies on launch day. Wow, this was a bad launch. We sold 29 copies on launch. It tanked very quickly. And then here we can see the spike. This is when Discovery Queue was enabled. This is when we hit 10 reviews for a game. Steam and Valve are often like, oh, you don't need 10 reviews for Discovery Queue. That's a myth. And it's like, no, the data, every single developer who has reached the 10 reviews can see the Discovery data as well. This was the first time we went on discount. The 23 units in a single day was like a 20% discount or whatever. And then it kind of, once the discounts happened, it only started selling on like the sales basically. Especially if you look at like the next years, you can kind of see like, oh, there's like a week-long sale here. There's another like week-long sale here. So some people buy it and then they move on. Probably another sale, like 6 units. And then I think this is like winter sale. Yeah, this is winter sale. And then probably we just do like weekly discounts. Like we always discounted this game. That brings me to maybe the next point, pricing. This is the price graph for Forge Industry. This game was actually, looking back, very expensive on launch, $17. I think that definitely, like, you know, does this look like a $17 game? Especially even back in 2023? The answer is no. We realized that, so after, I think we did like one more discount, because we were discounting at 50% already, and then I was like, you know, I think we're better off just lowering the base price. It's been like 1.5 years almost 2 years, so we lowered the price to $10, which I think is a more like okay price. You could always be the guy who's going to make the argument of like, oh, this game is only worth $1 or something like that. This is shovelware. I don't know, man. We still spent 18 months on this game. And I think that is also why we kind of fell into this trap of let's make this a base price of $17. Looking back, it's kind of very high just because of the fact of like, we spent so much time on it. We don't want to sell this game for $10 on launch, even though like realistically, that may have been a more like sane launch price. Now, definitely the fact that it was an automation game and things like that also very much mattered. Where do we want to go next? Let's take a look at the wishlist actions. So we launched this game with, I think, about 3,000 wishlists. And I think the most important thing I want to talk about is this lifetime conversion rate. 7% of our wishlists ever converted. When we first released the game, I think this was at about 2.6% day 1 or day 2 launch numbers. These were really, really bad. This is still bad. Don't get me wrong. It's creeped up a little bit, but it's definitely not good. Yeah, we had a little bit less than 1 year to gather wish lists. And then, yeah, platform specific ones. Doesn't really matter that much. Can I see like my other games? So 15.3% seems to be the average. We are very low. I think I can actually see the wishlist conversion rates of all of our games. Lifetime wishlists, I think here. So yeah, MO98 is currently at 10%, but this game is relatively new. Also, we have very high wishlists, 7%, 20%, and then 15, 19, and 10%. Like these are okay-ish, I would say. Forge Industry, definitely bad. And then yeah, supported track and soundtracks are actually performing better. These are like for MO98. Surprising. So MO98 by far the worst converting game. I think once again that combination of price and also just like final visuals. I don't know, for lack of a better word. Another reason, this game has bad playtime stats here. We have a medium time played of 35 minutes. There's once again no better way to say than this is just bad. If you have an automation game, 35 minutes for an open world, not like open, but like a crafty, buildy, sandboxy game, which is what Krusukowski calls it, is a bad number, 35 minutes. First 10 minutes, 81% is like, meh, but like this, you know, there's no point in us going back because the game is dead now anyway. And like, you can't recover this, but this should have given us a lot of like alarm bells of like, the game is just not fun. The game has no real reason to play it. If we look at all of our games play stats, so MO98 has almost 69% played for more than 1 hour. Unicycle, Pizza Time, Kyoto Anomaly, Overtime Anomaly are all still better than Forge Industry. 37% only plays more than 1 hour. Kyoto Anomaly is a game you can beat in less than an hour. And still people play it a lot more than the automation game that's supposed to be like tens of hours of gameplay with like lots of replayability and all of that. So once again, this is what I mean with the game just wasn't good, unfortunately. There's a lot of like postmortems we can do. The big problem is like the buildings just did not really have like reasons of existing. Lots of other stuff, not great. Would we make a Forge Industry 2? I don't think realistically anytime soon. Like, it's a cool idea, the like road congestion thing, but there's other games also that came out since then, such as Allsparks, that kind of just like, you know, you can't compete. We can't compete with this. Maybe you can, but we can't. This game performed way better. Lots of reviews. Also, once again, you see this genre, automation games, always does have high prices, 30 euros. But these also had that idea of kind of like not having conveyor belts, but instead you have, I think, lemmings or something like that. Like little, sparks is what they call them, that are like walking around, and then you need to manage those instead of what we had as the workers. I want to go and take a look at like the year over year. So this is our second game that we released, Unicycle Pizza Time. This had a drop of 85% year over year in Steam revenue, which I think is still kind of rough. I think all of our games kind of have this. I don't have enough like historical data for the more recent games, I would say, because these are the only two games that have been out for more than 2 years now. But it's kind of like, you know, I'm always saying like, oh, games have good long tail, but maybe, you know, the long tail isn't that great. I'm not sure if these are because these are less evergreen genres, like 85% year over year, like $4,000 in the last year. Bear in mind, like we did nothing for this game anymore. So we're looking at, what is this, like $400 a month on average, something like that. Seems pretty okay, like $350. But this is gonna probably drop down by another 50% next year. So then we're going to like $300 a year. I'm not sure where the flat line is, like where it kind of stops going down more. But I think, unfortunately, maybe the passive income dream for GameDev may not be as big as I hoped it was. Like, you know, if we go and we take a look at our general game sales for, let's say, the last month, there is still like, you know, we can see like M198 this game is still like pretty recent, like $9,000. It's very good support pack. And then we have like some other games, Kyoto Anomaly, Unicycle Pizza Time, like still $200, $177. Like the compounding of all of them makes it better. But I think if we only had like a Unicycle Pizza Time and you make $200 a month, it's kind of not good enough. It's the fact that we have multiple $200 a month games now, like even if we like disregard M198, that helps the studio a bit more, because we're still looking at like $700 a month, basically. Not enough to sustain a studio, but still like, you know, a good bonus. If this is like more of like a hobby approach. If you're doing this professionally, $700 a month is not okay. That's why you need the games like M198 and other games that are like more fresh, more new releases, because we're still doing like about $150 a day on average, which is good. But for the most part, that is just M098. It's the only game we've sold so far today. What about yesterday? We sold like 2 units of Overtime Anomaly, 3 units of Kyoto Anomaly, and then most of them, once again, are M098. I think some other stuff that I want to talk about, some learnings. This game, one of the reasons it took 18 months of development was because of Steam Workshop support. We added modding support, which was an insane amount of scope creep looking back. But we were like, oh, if we add modding support, then we'll have like more replayability and people will want to buy the game. And this is the Steam Workshop for Forge Industry. As you can see, there are no workshop entries. We probably spent 4 months of development and refactoring and more refactoring to add something that genuinely 0 people have ever used. I even wrote like this whole like post of like, how do you do modding support and like whatever. Nobody did anything with it. And this is why I always say this. If you're a programmer, just don't overcomplicate things. Things like workshop support will not save your game. I see a lot of developers go in and like, oh, I'm going to add modding support to my game, because it's like, oh, I guess it's something people want. That's, I think, what most developers think. That's what we thought as well. And then turns out that, hey, modding support requires you to, from the ground up, rewrite the entire way your game works. You need to genericify, if that's even a word, everything. And the amount of time needed it took for us to implement certain features also took so much longer, because everything had to be done with that modding support in mind as well. So we learned from this game to never ever do modding support again. I also highly encourage you to never do modding support, because it's one of those things like, oh, build it and they will come. And it's like, no, modding support works if you already have an established game, but modding support, adding that will not give you a successful game to begin with. Now, I don't want to be all like doom and gloom, because Forge Industry for us as a studio was still an important video. An important game, sorry, because it made us make this video. Forge Industry, when the game released, I think we had about 800 subscribers. No, we had 1,400 subscribers. We were not a big channel. We're now at 55,000. We made this video. It got 153,000 views at this point. I'm gonna reuse this title for this video as well. And it also got us as a studio on the radar. The fact that we made this video, Thomas looks so sad here, because we actually got a Krzyzewski article written about how bad our game's launch went, which is funny. So if you want to like read like more in depth, like everything that we did wrong, I'm gonna like leave a link down below so that you can read the entire Krzyzewski article. I think there's some good stuff, you know. We are part of this. We're sitting at like 6 games released now compared to 1 game. So I think we didn't give up. I think that's an important thing. There's like a lot of stuff, yeah, that we shouldn't have done. Yeah, also we like showcased this game at conventions and things like that. We pre-sold keys, which also bit us in the butt. We talk about it more here. Oh, here's a graph of our wish list. I don't know if I can zoom in on this. Yeah, it hasn't really been going great. So next fest, we got about 300 wish lists on the first day. Release gave us another 200. Kind of rookie numbers. And then there was also, like I said, 2.6% conversion. So even though we did stuff like 12 devlogs, we did 12 devlogs, and you cannot even see where the devlogs show up, basically, except like the one right before we released our game. This was Orbital Potato who covered our game, but the game was kind of unplayable. That gave us some wish lists as well. So I guess that also answers the question. Should you do devlogs? No, devlogs are not worth it. I would say, at least not if you're not making them like hyper entertaining. And that's kind of the problem. The wish lists that we did get from our audience were also part of the reason why we didn't really convert well. There's like a whole other topic of like, don't make wish lists your metric. That's for another video. Go and subscribe if you want to hear more about that. But yeah, how do I want to end this video? Kind of. Because I just wanted to make this as like a quick video to show you like, hey, we're still here. I think that's the important thing. We're still here. We made a bad game. You know, I can say this. This was not a good game. This was a game with good intentions, but not a game with good execution. I think that's the best way I can describe it. We truly thought this was the best. This was the best game we could make back then, because we just did not have the skills required to actually live up to what this genre requires. But a question I often get from developers is also like, oh, but I can't have my first game be shitty because then like I will get like this bad reputation as a bad studio or whatever. It's like, no. Most of the people who play our other games, only the ones basically who watch our YouTube channel, and then only like the more recent ones. Like for example, Mo98, most people who played this game have no clue about Forge Industry. They don't care about Forge Industry. Forge Industry is irrelevant for them. Sure, it's the same publisher name, but I'm pretty convinced that honestly, there is not that much carryover from like, oh, your previous game, if it was bad, it's going to be detrimental to your future games launches. I think it's better, of course, if you have a successful first game, because you can carry over that audience to the next game. But I don't think there is that much of a negative impact, except, you know, kind of just no bonus of having a bad game as your first game and then getting better as you release more games. Because that's, you know, that's the important thing of like, you know, we went from mixed to second game released mostly positive, and then like positive, very positive, very positive. Okay, mostly positive. We don't talk about that. But, you know, you can genuinely literally see the progression here of like mixed game, better game, much better game. I think this is like 85%. Even more. This one, I think to this day is still at 98% as well. Nah, 98%, 82 reviews. Like, you get better. Let that be the goal of this channel as well. You know, go to all the videos. 4 years ago, the first devlogs, Thomas was still fat. He's actually fat again. He used to be skinny for like a period with rebound. Sorry, Thomas, for getting straight. But you can see like, we started from like a long time ago. I think my audio should be muted. I just want to like show like some of the like, this is what like Forge Industry used to look like. This is Thomas. I don't want Thomas. Just show me the game. This is me. Yeah, this is what the game like used to look like. And now we're a moderately successful, you know, I like to say we're a decently successful game dev studio at this point. But we all started somewhere. And I think that's the important thing. You need to start at some point as well. Because now it's like, now I'm this handsome guy and I can put like big numbers in my thumbnail, like $73,000 on like launch week or something like that. But we started from just a bunch of kids with a dream. Like I was 22 21 back when Forge Industries development started, and you can see the genuine true progression of our entire game. And I hope that's what you take away from here, of like, it takes time. I think you can do it faster than the amount of time it took for us to make this game, like to make like our studio. It took like 4 years basically. Same thing with like YouTube. I think we can accelerate all of those things. If you want to learn how I can help you with that, there's a link down below where I play your games, I give you feedback, we talk about the future. I had to just plug this, okay? Thank you very much. And give you feedback, like I said, on your game, so you don't have to make your own Forge Industry. You can make a game that's better than this, that's faster in terms of development, and I think that's what matters as well. Your iteration speed, your unrelenting desire to don't give up, look life in the eyes and be like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna keep making games because I genuinely enjoy making games. It's a question I often get of like, if you had $1 million and you didn't need to work anymore, what would you do, Marnix? I would keep making small games because that's what I do enjoy. And I think that is just what I want to keep doing. It's what I've realized more and more. I'm gonna be here for a long time still. Even if we make fuck tons of money, I'm gonna keep yapping on YouTube. I'm gonna keep making games. And I think that's the mindset that you need to have as well. You just keep wanting to make games, keep wanting to make better games. And I think, honestly, if you can just keep releasing, not just working on games, but actually releasing games, I think success is almost inevitable. It may take 3 games, it may take 1 game, it may take 8 games, but at some point, I think if you just keep going at it and you find a way to keep it sustainable in that time that you're going at it, which is of course easier said than done, if you have a long enough runway and a long enough time horizon, I think it is genuinely somewhat hard to fail at game dev. The biggest problem is just that you sometimes cannot survive long enough to hit enough like attempts at releasing, at iterating, at improving your games, and I think that's more of the problem. So that's all I have to say. We've made some games at this point. If you want to follow us, we're on the journey to build $1 million studio. Now you might be like, what does that look like? Honestly, I don't know yet myself, but we are on the journey to build one, and I'm going to share everything that I learn along the way with you. So if that's something that interests you, then be sure to head down below and subscribe, because we upload 2 videos every week, and I think it's just interesting content for you to learn from and also just see what we are doing, because we're running a real studio. We don't just make videos about making games, but we actually release a bunch of games, as you can see. So that's all I had to say. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.